training with with females. That was a big controversy, but you stuck to your guns. Anybody that came after you, gave it back to them.
They're such cowards. They're such cowards. How dare you let your wife come on the mats and roll with another man? How dare? How preposterous? How ridiculous?
So you remember the Pandora's box that I talked about with Jeet Kune Do concepts versus original Jeet Kune Do? Well, I'm gonna throw that one to the side and we're gonna open up a new Pandora's box. Now, as the clip is started, we're gonna be talking about Firas Zahabi's comments on women in Jiu-Jitsu. So why do I feel the need to talk about this? Ultimately, as a coach in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a business owner, this is not a good look. Now, I'm not gonna talk about necessarily his religious views. At our school here, we have a lot of different kinds of people training here. We have Muslim, we have Jews, we have Christians, we have atheists, agnostics, whatever. We're all equal on the mat, and that's number one here. So I'm not gonna really be talking about that. What I will be talking about is Firas Zahabi's kind of conservative approach about women and how, as a personal choice, makes great, perfect sense for you, my dude. But as a coach and as a business owner, it raises a few red flags. Now, the red flags are pretty much like, if you don't want to roll with women as an individual, that's your prerogative, and you are certainly welcome to not do that. I have a big thing with my school and communication, and one of the things is you don't have to roll with someone you're not comfortable rolling with. There, end of story. And as an individual, if like, I know I have some upper belted friends that don't like rolling with white belts because they don't get a whole lot out of it. I think that's a little dismissive, but I'll acknowledge that sometimes rolling with white belts isn't exactly like a fruitful endeavor. A lot of times they spaz, you get elbowed. I understand that, but you know, white belts are friends, not food. You need to love on them too. Someone took the time to beat up your butt when you were a white belt, so you should return the favor. But again, that's whatever. But if you don't feel comfortable rolling with women for whatever reason, religious or otherwise, that's on you, man. That's totally fine. And I completely understand that opinion. Because I want my students to be empowered, and empowerment is really important for me in martial arts. I kind of emphasize it a lot in my kids program, where if a kid says no, they don't want to do something, I allow them that to a point. Let me go a little bit more into detail. For example, a lot of times I like to demo the moves on the kids because it's the time where I get to feel strong. Or I have them demo the moves on me. Sometimes, if they're a relatively new student, they don't want to demo with me. Whether they're kind of freaked out because of reasons, or they're just a little bit shy and they don't want me to choke them. Totally understandable. I empower my students to say no, especially the kiddos. And I empower them also to say no being partnered with certain people to a point. A lot of times what happens is they'll see how much fun it is all the other kids are having, and they'll likely want to do whatever it is that I'm doing too. Kids are kids after all, they want to have fun. And adults too fall into this category. If one of my students comes up to me and says, I'm not comfortable sparring or holding pads for or rolling with this person, I'm gonna say, cool, sounds great. Is there anything else you want to tell me about the situation? Because it could be something personal, it could be something they can't quite put their finger on, it could be a feeling, a vibe. I would like to know, but you don't have to tell me. So many iterations of the dojo ago, we had a student here that several women felt uncomfortable. He would make uncomfortable comments to them during jiu-jitsu sparring and rolling. And yeah, he was the first student I ever had to fire. And it sucked because like he was a pretty good roll. He was athletic. He was a good roll if you're a dude. But he did say inappropriate things when he was rolling with women. So we have a one strike system for that, and he was gone. But that's the only student that I've had to fire, thankfully, but I have had students that I never offered to become students because they didn't pass the quote-unquote vibe check. The vibe check is very important because if they don't mesh well in the culture, then they're not welcome. I've gone on a pretty long tangent here. Let me get back to the core matter here. As a student, you have the right to not roll with whomever you are. As a coach, I feel like your responsibility is to roll with everyone and to offer a school for everyone to roll in. And Firas Zahabi, because of his conservative religious background, does not roll with women and does not roll with homosexual men. And again, not really gonna dive into the whys and why nots per se, but as a school owner, if you don't have an option for those individuals, that's not cool, dude. Like, for example, if I had a female come in, I hate saying the word female. I feel like Andrew Tate has ruined that word. But if a young lady comes into the dojo and she wants to do jiu-jitsu because she learned from whomever that it really is solid self-defense, I agree, and that it's one of the best ways to learn how to defend yourself in a very precarious situation, I think that's a good idea. And I feel like she should be able to participate and do sparring and rolling with whomever she wants to a degree, as long as the other person is willing. So, that all said, by closing the doors to women, by saying, I don't roll with them, you know, as a business owner, you're having a lot of issues there. Like, how are you going to protect women? How are women going to be able to protect themselves, rather? So how are women going to be empowered enough to defend themselves? I'm not going to be able to be there, or a man's not always going to be there to be able to protect them from a very bad situation. Jiu-jitsu is one of those equalizers. I know we talk about, you know, strength, size, technique, sometimes doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. But the main purpose of jiu-jitsu for women can be self-defense and can use it effectively to an untrained individual. That's the whole point, right? So that's why that particular statement is like, but again, it's his choice. The comment that he made in that clip, though, is projection. He is projecting 100% his insecurities. If, like, you don't trust your wife to go not cheat on you, you don't trust the men that she's going with to not immediately be like, I'm gonna you. Like, you know, is that what you're really thinking here? You're projecting a lot of your insecurities, my dude. I know a lot of jiu-jitsu dudes that have their significant others of the opposite sex train in jiu-jitsu and train pretty, like, intensely. Obviously, you have Mikey Musumeci and his sister, Tammy Musumeci, like, and she trains at Pedigo submission fighting, and they have a good crew of females, but I'm sure they intermingle and roll with some of the smaller dudes, too. Eli Knight has his girlfriend that he's used in his instructionals, and, you know, she rolls with dudes too. And then you have Jordan Pressinger from Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu and his wife Nikki. Like, all of these chicks train. Gordon Ryan, under your same instructor, Mr. Firas Zahabi of John Danaher. Gordon Ryan's wife, girlfriend, Nat, trains jiu-jitsu. So, like, are you gonna go up to Gordon Ryan and be like, Gordon Ryan, you're a coward because you let Nat train jiu-jitsu and roll with dudes? Are you gonna do that? I don't think you are. And, like, I just you're projecting so many of your values onto this, and I'm trying not to open Pandora's box and be insulting to anybody, but, like, that is not a good way like, that's not a good thing to say, generally. Like, you're projecting on other people's lives. You are doing the thing that religion has a big problem with, projection. And it always has this little thing where it's like, keep your stuff in your house. You don't want your wife doing jiu-jitsu? Cool. You don't want your daughters doing jiu-jitsu? Cool. You don't want your daughters doing this or your wife doing this? Cool. That's your house, dude. Keep your house in order. Don't come into my house and tell me how to live my life. Don't come into my school and tell me how to run my program. I'm gonna tell you to go f off. And that's my biggest problem with this. I'm not entirely sure what platform you think it's okay to tell other people how to live their f***ing lives. I respect Firas Zahabi as a jiu-jitsu coach, a Muay Thai coach, and an MMA coach. But I don't respect him for these types of opinions and broadcasting them out loud. And shame on you, sir, for projecting onto other people. Now, if you want to tell other a Muslim community that, you know, you shouldn't let your wife do this, you shouldn't let it, that's fine. That's within your community, and that's more of your wheelhouse than telling the entire internet, like, shame on you, you're a f***ing coward for having your wife do jiu-jitsu. Go Sorry, I got a little heated. I hate when people project stuff. I think it's fine to ask questions. I think it's fine to have suggestions about how things should be done, like if you have science behind it that statistically, you know, like, okay, it's proven that this is, you know, because of X, Y happens or whatever. But like your little anecdotal story of when you originally said you don't train with women, like this woman wanted to roll with me and I said I don't roll with women, and she was like, oh, okay, are you serious? And then you're like, yeah, I'm serious. She said, oh, okay, well, I'm looking for another school. I had an affair with the previous coach. Like, that's f***ing anecdotal, dude. I don't know if you know the meaning of that, but here it is. So your anecdotal evidence there is fine. And like, listen, listen, I'm not gonna tell you how to run your gym. I'm just gonna ask you very kindly on YouTube not to say such nonsense, because people are gonna call you out for it. And of course people are gonna agree with you, and they're allowed to. One of those things is that's the whole thing I'm getting at here. If you project your opinions and values onto other people, that inherently is a problem. I'm sure I've lost like 1,000 subscribers due to this video, so if you like this video, make sure to subscribe. I can speak Japanese now if you want. このビデオのいいねと思ったら、グッドボタンを押してください。もしかして俺の顔をミスしないために登録してください。それで俺のビデオをいつでも見たいと思ったら、notification button 押してください。ごめんね、俺のノースカロライナ弁を使ってすみませんでした。申し訳ない。次のビデオへよろしくお願いいたします。ご覧にいただいてありがとうございました。Party on.